Today on Time About the Movies, we're taking a look at the film that finally knocked out Avatar of the top box office spot, a melodramatic Nicholas Sparks movie starring Channing Tatum and Amanda Seyfried. We also have John Travolta and the Tudors' Jonathan Rhys-Meyers going around Paris just fucking shit up and blowing shit up in From Paris with Love, and we have Frozen. Not that Frozen, the other Frozen. If you don't know what I'm talking about, stick around because we're looking at the films of February 5th, 2010 on Time About the Movies, coming up next. And welcome to another episode of Time About the Movies. Once again, we're taking a look at the films of February 5th, 2010. And that's our first movie that we have here, Dear John, starring Channing Tatum as a soldier who falls in love with a young woman played by Amanda Seyfried. That's it. That's really all it is, man. I mean, this is another Nicholas Sparks movie. Would you believe only the third one after The Notebook? I mean, technically the second one after The Notebook, but, you know, we had a Walk to Remember before that Notebook, and then A Message in a Bottle. So technically this is the sixth film in total of the Nicholas Sparks novels that have been turned into feature films. But this is only the second one after The Notebook, which came out 6 years ago, which is very hard to believe. The other one was Nice and Rodanthe, and that wasn't that great. This one's slightly better, but it's mostly because of the actors giving it their all. Channing Tatum and Amanda Seyfried. They do work very well in here, but other than that, though, it's a pretty forgettable movie. It's a melodramatic film. It's coming out around Valentine's Day, so everybody's getting in that loving mood. Their couples are, but let me just put it this way. I remember the Spill.com review for Dear John more than I remember the movie itself.
With any other white lead in a romantic movie like this, like, the girl would be like, come back and join us for a barbecue. And the guy would be like, I'll be there in a moment, lady. You know, but with him, he's kind of like...
I'm sorry, who are you imitating? He takes that how all white people talk.
I'm
we
doing
just
wrong.
talk like that all the time.
that was offensive, and I'm sorry, my man. You know what? The girl would be like, hey, we're having a barbecue at my house. You want to come back? And the guy would just be like, yeah, that sounds cool. I'll be there. But then...
you still couldn't quite...
I'm sorry, I can't do it.
You went from the Richard Pryor white guy voice to a surfer dude. Okay, all right. Take 50 seconds.
Take it from the top. Oh, well, yes, madam, I would like to join you.
That's James Earl Jones. What is that? I'm waiting for you to go to a British accent.
I mean, that right there is more memorable than anything else that goes on in this movie overall. And like I said, it's not a bad movie. It's just a movie that's there. Like, it's there for the couples who are in the Valentine's mood. They want to go see a movie, and they know that the Super Bowl's coming up on Sunday, so you know their boyfriends aren't taking them out on Sunday to go see this movie. So they got to do it. They got to do it the days before that. But yeah, this is it is what it is. Take that for what you will, Dear John. I got nothing else for you. This is pretty much a melodramatic, mediocre film at its best, and I've seen much worse in terms of Nicholas Sparks adaptations, which I'm just realizing this came out on February 5th of 2010. I remember this weekend in particular because, yeah, we had that big snowstorm up here in the Northeast, and yeah, it was actually pretty interesting to have all that snow high up here. Like, it was really it was really above the cars when the snow hit, and nobody could really get out of there. And I remember that. I'll never forget that, walking outside and then seeing that. My body was literally right there, like the snow was that high in particular, and this is me just sitting down, but that should just give you an indication of how crazy the weather was that day. But hey, it was interesting. It was an interesting weekend overall with the snowstorm, and then New Orleans winning the Super Bowl that weekend, which, you know, after Hurricane Katrina, they needed it after all those years. But certainly more interesting than anything that was going on at the box office, and Dear John was not a good example of that. But let's see if we can turn the tide around with our next movie here. John Travolta and Jonathan Rhys-Meyers in From Paris with Love. Once again, another movie that I remember the Spill.com review more than the actual film itself.
You'll see the Eiffel Tower just fall over by the end of the movie with John Travolta sitting on top of it. Yeah!
So in From Paris with Love, Pierre Martel's follow-up to Taken, you have Jonathan Rhys-Meyers starring as James Reese, an ambitious aide to the U.S. ambassador in Paris, doing little jobs for the CIA and hoping to get into black ops. On the night he and his girlfriend Carolyn become engaged, he's told to pick up Charlie Wax, played by John Travolta, at Orland. Charlie is an unorthodox government employee, large, bald, and bearded, foul-mouthed, and eccentric. Charlie immediately takes James on a wild ride of murder and mayhem through ethnic enclaves. As bodies pile up, the purpose remains opaque to James. Caroline, unhappy that James has been out of touch for a day, tells him to bring Charlie for dinner. Charlie can be charming. Where will it lead? Does the chess-playing James have what it takes? Yeah, this film is definitely all over the place, and for some reason, John Travolta was just in a violent mood around this time. I mean, he was in the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, where he played the bad guy, and in this movie, he and Jonathan Rhys-Meyers are essentially just going around Paris and just fucking shit up and blowing shit up. I mean, I wasn't kidding when I said before, this whole movie is action galore, and it can be fun for the most part. Yeah, it definitely is a lot of fun. The silliness is definitely there. It's a ridiculous movie. It's produced by Luc Besson's company, Eurocope. And I've been kind of negative on him around this point in time, but he did have a couple of other good movies there besides stuff like The Fifth Element, The Professional. This is definitely one where it is very silly and fun. He only wrote the story for this, but it's a silly, fun movie. It's silly, fun. It's over the top. I mean, it's just a fun movie in general. Is it a great film? No, not really. And really, for the guy that follows stuff from Taken, it's not definitely no Taken per se. But like I said, it's silly and fun for what it is. Like, for example, one of the negatives I had with the movie is that even like normal stuff in this movie has to have like this slick, stylized action sequence cinematography to it, like you're watching an action sequence. But no, it's just Jonathan Rhys-Meyers and his girlfriend getting ready to have sex, and it's just like for some reason they shoot it in like fast motion. It's just kind of like, what are we doing here? Like, what's the point of this? I mean, for some, that's the reason why they go to see a movie like this. Not just for the action, but the sex, too. It's just like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. I don't get the way they sped it up and all that type of stuff. But other than that, though, it is what it is. It's a silly movie. It's a stupid movie, but a good, fun, silly, stupid movie overall. So let's go ahead and move on to our last film that we have here, and that is Frozen. No Josh Gad talking so many to save your ass this time around. It's okay. The cold never bothered him anyway. I'm gonna keep making as many goddamn Frozen puns as I can, damn it. But yeah, this is definitely not your kid's Frozen. This is a much different Frozen. It's a psychological horror bottle movie, sort of in the vein of something like a Barry that comes up later in the year, or even more recent example, a Fall, with the two people on top of this big pole, and they have to stay up there, and they have to find a way to survive the whole thing. And yeah, pretty much similar setup here. You have a story of three friends stranded in a chairlift after a day of skiing, forced to make life or death decisions in order to survive and get down. And it leads to a chaotic situation where they realize that it's a Sunday and they're stuck up there until the place opens back on Friday. Which means that, yeah, it's going to be cold, it's going to be gray, and it's going to last you the rest of your life. Got not a reference there, but yeah, basically, yeah, these guys are fucked. I mean, these people pretty much are just fucked until they have no choice but to make the decision to essentially just risk your life and just go ahead and try to survive it. And then, like, for example, there's a scene where one of the guys basically just says, "Fuck it, I can't do this anymore," jumps out of the chair, and yeah, his legs just completely get dismantled, and he's fucked. Like, he's gonna die from whatever creatures are out there. And sure enough, a pack of wolves arrive, and so yeah, basically, you ain't making it out alive in here. Yeah, it's a movie where it's pretty much straightforward what you think it's going to be. It's going to be a movie where life and death decisions will either end up with you falling out to your doom or just trying to survive. And yeah, it's freezing cold. And even when that trailer that I showed you ends, it's literally the girl like trying to move her hands, and they're sticking to the pole. And yeah, that's basically meaning that your skin's going to get ripped off you. Like, yeah, there's no way you're going to survive this relatively unscathed in general. You're going to get harmed in some way, shape, or form. This is directed by the guy who did Hatchet, which I don't remember if I ever talked about in the 2000s in one of the earlier episodes. I think it came out in 2006 or 2007. I can't remember, but I don't think I ever covered that one. But it didn't really matter. I never saw it before, but this one I have seen, and yeah, it's a really good movie. It is a very intense movie, and it is a very intriguing situation where you have to figure out, I just remember this came out the same year of another movie that's pretty much a bottle movie, 127 Hours, which that one was more mainstream and had James Franco in it, but similar concept here. But I did remember enjoying this movie, and yeah, it's a very intense movie. Like, it's a very intense film where you have these three people sitting up in this lift chair for the majority of the movie, and you have no idea, like, how are they going to survive this? And short answer is that they really don't. But yeah, it's a movie that it does keep you interested overall, and it is it's something that could potentially happen. Like, you could be in a situation where you're stuck up there, and you don't have a way to contact anybody. It's just like, yeah, it is something where it is very interesting overall. It's a very intriguing movie. It's an engaging psychological horror movie, and it is a film that keeps you invested all across the board on how these characters are going to either A, survive, or B, get killed off. And for that, it works. It works very well. I think it is a very solid film. I enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, I definitely like this one, Frozen. One final note, though, on Frozen. One person does technically survive. Who is it? Well, I'm not going to tell you. That's why you got to see the movie to find out. But really, when you really get down to it, yeah, they survive. That person survives, but they are scarred for life after a situation like that. But with all that said, though, off of Frozen now, and I can't believe I actually didn't make more Frozen references than I could have. I easily could have, but I guess because it's off the cuff, I wasn't really planning on doing a whole lot of that. But anyway, that's going to wrap this episode of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we will look at Valentine's Day weekend. And coincidentally, we have a movie called Valentine's Day. It's the follow-up to He's Just Not That Into You, featuring not the same director, but kind of the similar format to that movie, but He's Just Not That Into You is definitely the much better film. We'll take a look at that. We'll also take a look at Benicio del Toro as the Wolfman in Joe Johnston's remake of the classic monster movie. Chris Columbus, after what he did with Harry Potter, tries to start up a new book fantasy franchise with Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief. And is that it, or is there anything else here? I believe that's it, just those three movies. So we'll take a look at those three movies coming up tomorrow on the show, so definitely be on the lookout for that. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification button. You get the idea of what I'm going there. But there's the things right there. Hit those, and hit the like button, subscribe button, notification button. And also check out the previous episode, as well as the previous episode up there and the playlist down here. So with all of that said, thank you so much for watching this, and whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Until then, take care.